Hello everyone, my name is Atchax, and today we are talking about two common mistakes that I see players make in lower ranks especially, that you can exploit easily to win rounds and games. If you want to be the first to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get right into it. The first is called the pause. The pause is an error in positioning and commitment. Typically in lower ranks, players haven't yet chosen to learn more varied strategies, and you will see a lot of strat callers who always want everyone to go in the same direction. This is the perfect setup for the pause, as in lower ranks, a lot of players call a rush strat, but they are afraid of losing their character for some reason and nobody wants to go first. So they will smoke and use utility and set up for an attack on site, but they hesitate. Everyone stays in the same spot, and maybe no one is peeking. Nobody is really doing anything valuable on the attacker side. In my experience, this lasted for about 10 seconds usually, but it could definitely be less or more. It seems to be a human thing rather than a Valorant thing, because I've seen this in many games, most notably CSGO, time and again. A lot of players make the incorrect assumption here that the opponents have made a fake and are rotating, which is a very reasonable assumption because pausing usually doesn't make sense unless you set it up properly and it is very unexpected. The other perfectly reasonable mistake defenders make is to use utility to try to slow the push early, but since the opponent hesitated, the utility doesn't actually delay them at all. The first time you see this, react however you think you should. However, if you start to recognize a pattern of an execute followed by a pause, followed by a delayed attack on the same site, maybe it's time to consider that your opponents could be pausing, especially if they don't rotate. What makes the pause a mistake? When the opponents pause, they give your team time to rotate. That's a huge advantage for defenders. They also give up a lot of ground if they don't have a lurker or other map control, so you can close the net on them. The error most defensive flankers make is pushing the entire opposing team and dying, allowing the attackers to escape and rotate. Instead, hold areas just outside where they are, contain them, keep them bottled up in one spot, and push when the attackers also push to site, moving with them so that your team can pounce at roughly the same time from multiple directions. You may also want to consider playing one player on the other site in case attackers are trying the strategy of a 4-man flank and 1-man spike push, which is a tough afterplant for attackers most of the time, and you can make it even more difficult by dropping the spike and denying the plant. This can be an excellent way to secure a free round. It can be beneficial to note that teams who have this strat also tend to bait more heavily or have multiple uncoordinated trickling attacks of 1 to 2 players without trading. So how do you take advantage of this mistake? It's really simple actually. You just rotate. Once you have 4 defenders or so on a site against any number of attackers, that's usually a defender advantage. Especially if you're flanking behind, attackers are going to have a very difficult job isolating defenders because there's just so many of them. And most of the time, attackers will have to move through some kind of choke point. If they're facing down a bunch of defenders at once, it's going to be very difficult for them to take that site. Alright, the second mistake we will talk about today, which you can take advantage of easily, is called the string. I'm sure it has a more official name, but I'm not aware of the term. So we're going to call it the string so everyone can know what we're talking about. This is a behavior that almost all players exhibit to a degree, but is especially pronounced in lower ranks. It's like a string is connected to their opponents, slowly dragging them forward against their better judgment. This is generally more heavily manifested the greater the advantage of a team. In most 5-on-5s, players play pretty normal. But in some teams, as the numbers go towards a 5-on-2, or the clock starts to run down, or the spike is dropped in front of defenders, or attackers show a hesitation, or some other edge is possessed by one team, that team starts to take unnecessary risks. This also tends to happen when there is a general lack of activity and contact. The string seems to be a part of human nature as well, as I have observed it in many different games, especially Rainbow Six and CSGO. Perhaps it is a result of boredom, frag greed, hardwiring from other games, habit, or a mixture of various factors, but the confidence to win those last few fights isn't an error. Rather, when you have a severe advantage, you make it difficult or near impossible for the other team to win, It doesn't really make sense to acquire an advantage so that you can throw it away when it can be used to lock down areas, exert pressure, or take overwhelming map control. And by giving up these advantages and becoming over-aggressive, they give you the opportunity to win anyways. And that opportunity is something you can absolutely take advantage of to win a round that you definitely should not have won. These 1 to 2 rounds can have a snowball effect, creating the momentum you need to secure a game or turn it around to your favor. Or maybe those 1 to 2 rounds will be the margin by which you actually win the game. Either way, it can be a substantial advantage. Players who are extra affected by the string push on defense with an advantage and sometimes push before the time is right if they have an advantage on offense. Attackers sometimes push an afterplan. You can use this to your advantage if you notice the string by having especially hard-hitting exit frags or winning save rounds. You can expect pushes and use these opportunities to change the round momentum and pull out a win that the opponents gave to you despite your disadvantage. Players who do the string, in my experience, are also more likely to throw when they have a lead, thinking they can win whenever they choose. This is a situation ripe for a comeback, and I have gotten a lot of comebacks on players who are more mechanically skilled than me because of this. I like to counter the string by running a default and patiently holding for a push. If players are super susceptible to the string, it will pull them towards you given enough time. This can lead to a bunch of contact all across the map, and if you win a fight, you poke a hole in the defense to exploit. Since you are spread out, you can't be flanked. If we are down a man or in a clutch, I might just hold and wait to even the advantage. There are a lot of possibilities if the opponents will continuously give you opportunities. Both of these mistakes are very easy. Easy to counter, fairly easy to spot in comparison to many other mistakes, and relatively easy to make. I chose these two specifically because they are often habitual, and players can know that making this decision is bad, but also do it anyways and do it often. This gives your counters longevity because the opponents can know full well that you are countering them, but continue to make the same mistakes throughout the entire game. Pattern recognition is a huge part of this game, and starting to recognize what the other team is doing is going to help set up your game sense and set up your counters so that you can win more games. A lot of players in lower ranks are very consistent. They do the same things over and over and over again. And if you can just figure out what you need to do to counter that, you can make some serious comebacks and win a lot more games. I hope you found some value in this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Best of luck, everyone, and have a great day.